Namaste, beautiful souls. Happy Friday. We made it through another week. We are still here. Looks like we have 14 in the chat right off the bat. That is wonderful for a Friday afternoon. Welcome to my channel, everybody. This is Dr. Danny, physician astrologer. My mom is already asking for closed captions. I don't know how to do that from my end. I think it's on your end, my love. But I'm glad you're here, Mom, because we're going to look over your chart today. We're also going to go over all the astrology from now until the lunar eclipse. We're going to do some astrology, some numerology, little decoding. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then what I wanted to do also during this presentation was address something that I'm picking up on a lot through your emails and your comments, because guys, we have been like getting into the numeric code of the universe. We've been using phi, we've been using pi, we've been using the fine structure constant. We've connected the numbers of the Fibonacci sequence to the date and the energies of the planets. And some of you have been coming into the comments and saying, the Fibonacci sequence is broken, that phi is not actually like a real thing, that it promotes decay. And it's super interesting. So I wanted to address these comments because I scratch my head when I consider the idea just right off the bat. Is the Fibonacci sequence broken? I'm like, okay. Why? Why is it broken? It seems to me like it encodes phi, which is the golden ratio. We see this in art. We see this in plants, the way they grow. We see this in the way rabbits multiply. We see it in the cycles of the planets. We see it in the rotation of the galaxies. We see it at the very atomic structure. So, to me, for something to promote decay, why would it be so ubiquitous? So I went down a little rabbit hole. And I'm going to take you guys with me into a term called Keylontic science or freedom science. And it sounds crazy, and some of it is, but some of it's actually quite genius. And so I'm going to tease it all apart for you guys and give you my truth about phi and the golden spiral. And I think you guys know where I already stand, but I am going to prove it to you with the code. And we'll also look at the founder of Keylontic science too, and look at her numerology just a little bit. So that's what I'm doing. How's everybody else? You guys feeling pretty good? Man, I worked yesterday and it's been so busy. You know, the swelling energy of Venus and this lunar cycle, because we are in the first quarter phase. Everything's kind of swelling, and so that usually perturbs pregnancies a little bit. So, wow, it's been very, very busy. So I am a little bit tired. I might go slow. You guys are in for a long one today, I think. It depends on how quickly I can get through it and if you guys have a bunch of questions or not. So, cool. Let's see, some announcements. Let me get through this. The eclipses are coming. The lunar eclipse is next Friday. So, if you guys have not gotten an eclipse reading and you want one, check it out, because by the time we get to the middle of this coming week, I may not have the time to do a full reading on you for the lunar eclipse. I mean, if you still want it, you're more than welcome to get it, but it would be more of a retrospect reading if you get the eclipse reading. Although anytime you get, a reading right around this time, it's going to be amazing. I'm going to cover pretty much everything in your chart. And they've been pretty mind-blowing, you guys. And I attribute it to all of this amazing Pisces energy that we're in. We have the sun there. We will tomorrow. We'll have the sun there. We'll have the moon there. We'll have Neptune there. We'll have Saturn there. We'll have Mercury there. We'll have Venus there. We'll have the North Node. And then right off to the right, the wingman is Chiron, like all in Pisces. So hopefully you guys were able to check out my my new moon shorts, because it's the beginning of the lunation. So anytime, if you guys know your sun sign in constellational astrology, you can click on the short that will help you. And then also, if you know where your Pisces is, those shorts are out there too. So two little snippets of readings for you. That's about as personal I can get with the collective energy. So, but I'm doing my best. But really, the readings are the way to go. I mean, you can't know how this is going to manifest for you until you know precisely what's happening. So I encourage you guys to do that. If you have a question about your chart, maybe if you want to just ask me a question, you can email me or message me on Facebook. So you can join the Fellowship of 13 Signs. We just made it over 500, which is amazing because I only started that group about a year and a half ago. And it just speaks to the excitement and the newness of reconnecting with the stars and how important it is to people. And once they finally click into that energy of their natural sky, how their life just aligns and synchronicities abound. And it's absolutely amazing. So check out my recent work. Check out those shorts. Grab a reading if you need it. Check out your free chart. Join the fellowship. Let's see what else. Oh, you can take a class with me. Stellar Foundations is meeting tomorrow. We're getting into the nitty-gritty technical of predictions and how to do that. So you guys will level up quite a bit tomorrow. Those of you in Stellar Foundations. I am opening up a new group in the middle of May. And then for all of those that kind of pick up classes with me and those of you in Stellar Foundations right now, the Chiron class is coming first week of April. So do stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you're lurking. Love my content. And I am going to get into it. Let's see who else is here who dropped in so I can say hello. Let's see. Sprout Queen, hello, my dear. Christine Yan, hello, hello. Fellow traveler, hello. All right. And then we have Donna, Ultimus, my mom, Speaking with Lorna, and LH Mary. Is speaking English with Lorna the same as the other Lorna, Lorna's Adventures After 50? Are you the same person? Or do you guys both just have Lorna in your name? I don't know. All right, guys. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you where I can get, or where you can get the decoding resources so you know where I'm coming from when I say this is connected to this and why. I think that's very helpful. Then we'll dive into the sky. Then we'll get into the presentation, okay? We'll take a break about halfway through just to check in, see how everybody's doing with the information, see if anything's resonating or not resonating, and then we'll do the astrology. So let me share the screen. Share. All right, cool. Okay, so thing one, if you want this pack of pictures right here, where you can have the birthday chart, so you can find out what card you are for your birthday, you can get that at cosmicsugar.org. Okay. And you can download the resources and you'll have that. And it's great. It's really helpful for me. I keep like my iPad open with this, and then I do my decoded computer. This will give you the days of the year in leap year and cardinal, and then the number associated with each of the cards of illumination, and then the tarot as well. And then if you want to do this, to me feels like a south node north node analysis, where master life configuration is basically, this is the birth card that you pull, and you know what you're used to, what you're comfortable with, and then this is what you're striving towards, and then this card, which is your spirit configuration card, ultimately like rules over you. And we'll see that the founder of Keylontics, which is the science that accuses the Fibonacci sequence of being broken and Phi being decaying sequence, has a Jupiter card. Her card is the 10 of diamonds, which I think is interesting. So as an encore, after we're done with the presentation, I'll go into her astrology if you guys still have energy and you want. You can also get the spirit cards, medicine deck. So that's all there on cosmicsugar.org. Decoded.co is where you can get all these amazing ciphers. And we are going to work with the Phi cipher today. And that's her name in Phi. I also did her just to be fun, just to be funny. So we'll look at her at the end if y'all want to. And then the periodic table at the Royal Society of Chemistry. There's all kinds of nuggets and numerology in here you can go into. I particularly like barium because it is associated with the fine structure constant, which I'll explain. Lanthium, which is associated with the Phoenix constant. And then 35 because its boiling point is 137.8, which is right between 137.8, which is the magnetic moment, the fine structure constant, that little wiggle that we have in the universe that scientists and spiritualists can't quite pinpoint. Then we have numberempire.com, so you can find out everything you want to know about a number. Number 43, for example, is the 14th. Third prime is 191. It'll let you know if it's a Fibonacci number. And then this one has standard pi string, so you can put in like 137, for example, and see what it looks like in or where exactly it shows up in the decimal string of pi. So that's helpful. And that's it. So that's what I'm using. We dive into the sky for the next week or so and just see what's going on. This is today, and this is the sky. It's daytime view, but I have taken out the atmosphere. My audio keeps dropping out for a slip second. Okay, let me check that real quick, y'all, because this laptop does funny things with my mic. I'm good there. Let me check my volume. Maybe if I take it down a bit, let me know if you guys can still hear me, if that sounds okay. I might just be clipping the mic, speaking loudly. Sometimes I get excited. All right. Back to the sky. So let's add in the constellations. This is stellarium-web.org. And this will show you the actual astronomical constellational positions of the luminaries in our sky. And for me, this is the kind of astrology I like to do. This is it right here, because Sun's in Aquarius. There's nothing I have to translate. I don't have to go to some silly ephemeris and get the pretended degrees of whatever it might be in the sign of Pisces, which is a construct over top of the actual true Aquarius. And it's based on our calendar. Okay, so this is the type of astrology I do. I feel like it's simpler. I feel like it's more connected to the cosmos. And if we're connected to it, then we evolve with it. Okay, so the sun is in Aquarius right now, very close to Saturn. This is just an expressive responsibility. So we have to be very careful with how we're expressing ourselves. And I feel like this really played out with all the research I did behind this presentation, because the first impression I got from Keylontics was that it was some sort of grift. The first person I found that was talking about it in any meaningful way was someone that was selling their course and selling it for a very, very high dollar. And the reason is because the Keylontic sciences, if you actually look up this PDF that this woman created, is quite dense. I mean, it's full of like 12 base mathematics, geometry, like relabeling quantum physics with pseudonyms. So certain elementary particles are given these sort of names. It's kind of like saying, okay, the quark, the boson, and the electron are now Ra, Ka, and Ki. Okay, so it kind of gives them different names and then explains this whole science around it. And it's not completely inaccurate. So the density of the material requires quite a bit of study and quite a bit of synthesis. And so this is what this woman was offering. But her first statement was the Fibonacci sequence is broken, and phi and the golden ratio is a ratio of decay and death. And I was like, wow, okay. So I was a little put off. But as I got into it, I found out quite a few very interesting things about it, and some people that study it that do not agree with it. There are geometers and polymaths out there that I'm going to point you to, that if you want to dive deeper into this, you can. So Sun Saturn, responsible expression for the collective. It's just right there in black and white. But the sun will only be here for one more day and will be in the stars of Pisces with everything else. Venus is now retrograde. She is tomorrow will be 13 days away from her superior conjunction with the sun, which is the Pisces Venus star point. And that's what we've been counting down to. And I'm going to show you the charts and show you how we've been looking at this energy through the Fibonacci sequence and the phi ratio. Mercury will be at maximum eastern elongation tomorrow. And that's just a fancy astronomical description description of Mercury slowing down and speeding towards you in this direction. So Mercury is speeding out of the screen and into your face right now. And by next weekend, we'll station retrograde and join Venus in March towards the collision with Sun, Neptune, and the North Node for this amazing lunar eclipse and solar eclipse. So I hope you guys are ready. This is a big wave of Pisces energy, and I feel like so far it's felt pretty good, pretty creative, pretty exciting. There's a lot of cool things that are just coming into my field that I never thought I'd actually think about or talk about. But I am concerned with Mercury going retrograde. Mercury retrograde, that this speeding up towards us means that the signals from Mercury, from that little speedy guy around the sun, is intensifying. Okay. So with intense mental energy comes, especially in Pisces, comes strains, not being able to communicate. I think it's even worse in Pisces kind of retrograde. So be ready. I'm telling a lot of people to clear out their schedule, to deprogram as much as they can after, not this week, but after this coming weekend and the full moon. Just deprogram until the lunar eclipse. So there's that, but it's creative. It's loving. It's connected to spirit. I feel very good about Venus and all these other planets meeting up at the same time, with the exception of this little trickster right here, Mercury. Because Mercury in the Phi cipher is 24, and Mercury, and so you can deal with this. You can deal with this energy in an amazing way, but you have to be just very disciplined with your thoughts, and that's not easy in a world full of distractions, which is why I say deprogram. If you look a little bit west in the sky or east in the sky, you're going to see Jupiter in Taurus, conjunct Chiron. And today the moon is transiting from Taurus into Gemini. So this should feel very, you guys, this is a great space to understand and to feel into the numbers and the mathematics that I'm going to give you. Don't worry, it shouldn't be too over your head. I'm not going to show you base 12, but if you're interested in it, I'm going to show you where to go. Mars and Gemini moving forward, and in a few weeks, stars of Cancer. So that's our sky right now. Let's watch this in motion, because that's really where the rubber meets the road. That's what you paid your ticket to come and see, all this energy in motion. Let's move it forward. So today, tomorrow, that was the time change. That's coming too. Did you see that? So you get one less hour of sleep between tomorrow and Sunday. There it is. It just jumps. So let's continue. See that? Here we are. This is Eclipse and Mercury station retrograde. Now, both of them. It's like Sun, Venus, Mercury all running towards each other. Here I are. So there we go. We've got two inferior conjunctions, both with Venus and Mercury. And then the moon is on its way. So this right here is, there it is, the solar eclipse. Okay, we are only going to go till next Friday with the energy, because there's just so much we have to talk about. And I'm one person and I did work yesterday, so but I think it's amazing to be able to share this with all of you. And so I'm so glad you're here. I'm so excited to share my presentation with you. Let me pull it up and we'll get into it. I think that was just the intro, and I went for like 20 minutes. So is the Fibonacci sequence broken? You know what? I'm gonna say no. That's my knowing, because I trust the way my body feels when I hear something, like, is it true or not true? And it hasn't failed me yet. In fact, when I go against that little hit that I get, I usually end up in trouble in some way. It served me very well in the medical field as someone who deals with emergencies. Okay, so I've done pretty good, just kind of trusting that inner knowing. And when someone says the Fibonacci sequence is broken, I get a gut hit. And plus my mind is involved too. And you guys know how busy my brain is. So it's like, oh, wait, no, we can't. Well, wait, let's examine it. So we did that. We've examined that. And in this presentation, we're going to go over it a little bit as we look at the energies through the next week. So here's what we're counting down to. This is the magic moment. This is the moment of birth right here, when this conjunct the sun, between Earth and sun, very close to Earth, the closest she ever is. Same face of Venus, always faces Earth when she's in this position. This happens every 20 months in different signs, but it happens in Pisces every 8 years. So each time Venus hits her star point, she's creating 1 point of a 5-pointed star. Y'all have seen that video. I show it all the time. If you haven't, maybe we'll show you at the break, but she basically creates this energy from Earth's perspective. And every time this point hits, that's a retrograde star point, and that's what we're counting down to. This is the peak of the wave, okay? And because this orbit of Venus and Earth and Sun creates this ratio, we have a 5-pointed star that happens in 8 years, and the hidden number is 13. That's how many times Venus orbits around the Sun within that 8-year period. So you see a 5-pointed star in 8 Earth years in 13 orbits. My friends, once we get past 13, when you take any number, because these are Fibonacci numbers. I'll show you this shortly, but if you were to continue with the Fibonacci sequence, you'd get 21, 34, 55, and 89. And that's done by adding these digits together. So you're basically, that's how you get each number. Okay. When you take the ratio of these numbers in this sequence, so for example, if you took 5 and divided it into 8, you would get 1.618. Sort of. But once you're past 13, you get this true digit. And the closer you get to infinity with this number becomes more and more irrational, meaning these digits go off to infinity, just like pi does, because pi is 3.141 or 4, and it goes on and on and on and on. So phi is very similar to pi in that way. And whenever we come across a number like that in mathematics, it usually describes another concept, a hidden dimension, if you will. And we're going to dive into that a little bit more. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention because that's what we're doing with this timeline. That's what I've been doing over the last several months. This is part of that mega decode, okay? Christmas was 89 days away from the Venus star point. 126 was 55 days away from the Venus star point. 216 was 34, 31 was 21, and tomorrow is day 13. We see that number pop up a lot in the Venus decodes because 13 is the serpent. 13 is this is associated with Ophiuchus as the 13th sign. Ophiuchus is the serpent bearer. And Venus as a white serpent in the stars of Pisces just represents the pure liquid golden light of creation that courses through your chakra bodies. That's this planetary energy through Pisces, bringing in the mythos of the Nagas and the serpents and the dragons. Beautiful stuff. I'm having so much fun with these decodes. It just feels so good and so incredibly creative. Now, why I'm doing this is because there is a spiral energy that radiates outward in time and space, both forward and backward in time to this point, connecting energetic themes throughout your life. Okay? So tomorrow, there may be something energetically related to whatever's going on with you here. And then after the star point, later in a few weeks, there may be something energetically related to this point. So you see, it's like a Fibonacci, it's a phi golden spiral that goes out through time and space, connecting the future and the past to this beautiful energetic moment. So here it is. Here's the frequency and the numerology of the Fibonacci sequence, how it's associated with phi, and how it creates that golden spiral. And I like to use the phi cipher with astrology. And all this means is that it associates the letters of our alphabet with the numbers that are in the string of phi, of the golden ratio. So 1.618 out to at least 26 decimal places so that we can get to Z. And so that's where I put my words in here to get us a number that's associated with more of the phi and the pi and the fine structure constant. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. I hope you get a more of a vibratory, resonant kind of understanding of why I'm using these numbers. It's not just to show you cool things, it's to actually show you that there's a profound and deeply coded connection between all things associated with this. And I've explained this basically, that this is the golden ratio. This is the number that we get. This is more of a wordy way to explain that. It's not a number like an integer. An integer would be 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. It is a ratio, and ratios often represent what we call irrational and complex numbers. Now, repeating numbers are also in this range. Like, for example, if you were to take 1/3 of something, it's 1 divided by 3, so you get 0.333333333 through infinity. It doesn't mean that it's a broken number. It simply means that it represents something that the base 10 numbers can't. And that's all it is, and that'll become more clear later. So, basically, you have these 2, concepts, these constants, phi and pi, that are irrational numbers that go off to infinity, that explain something geometrical, that explains something in a hidden dimension of arithmetic. All right? So here is the Fibonacci sequence, and I'm tying it to phi in this quick little decode right here. Fibonacci in the phi cipher is 45. 45 is the 21st decimal digit in the golden ratio string of digits. So you can see this right here. So it's the 21st, and the word phi is 21. Pattern is 21. So just connecting these few things. The man Fibonacci discovered this ratio by breeding rabbits. So rabbits is 35. 35 is associated with bromine, which is the number which boils at 137. 137 degrees Fahrenheit. That is the fine structure constant right there, that number. That's another ratio that appears quite a bit, but in subatomic physics. So in quantum physics, in the standard model, it's the electromagnetic vibration of things. It's the same thing with pi and phi. It represents another kind of ratio. So let me just take a minute and think about this Keylontic science with you. I already explained that they use 12 base math. They create geometry with that 12 base math, and they've created what they call the Cathara grid. And it's the structure in which their spiral goes through. It's called the crystal spiral. It starts with a K, goes through that. It spirals through their matrix and creates an everlasting, expanding life force energy, which I love the idea of that. I absolutely 100% love the idea of that. But I'm not really sure, like, where in the world they got the idea that phi was broken in some way, that spiral was really no different than a 1 to 2 spiral or an exponential spiral. They're all the same. And it became increasingly difficult for me to find the math behind this crystal spiral that they talk about. But I did find some people, and I'm just so thrilled to bring you this information because I think it clears everything up, and it pointed out to me that people that study this, like, earnestly want to bring through the knowledge that the original founder of Keylontic science was channeling. I think it's something that we're all channeling. I think it's something that more and more people are coming online to understand. It's just that she was one of the first, and it came through a person, a human who had her own beliefs, who had her own coding and her own programming, but she was brave enough to go out there and to be different enough to speak her truth, to inspire people to look into this. Because the people that are studying this, from at least from a geometer's perspective, are the coolest people I've ever watched on YouTube. There's no debate. It's just like, let's discover the universe together. So I love what we're going to find. So here's their first assertion. They say that the Fibonacci spiral is an artificial and distorted growth pattern. So again, Fibonacci in the phi cipher is 45. Keylontic is also 45 in the phi cipher. And so I find that interesting, if not absolutely freaking hilarious. That, the very thing that was sort of being shunned by this science is exactly tied to Fibonacci and through the Phi cipher. Here's some examples in nature of the golden ratio pattern that is derived from the Fibonacci, at least after number 13. And you have the uh, spiraling embryo, they unfold. If you've ever taken a class in embryology and you watch how uh, all the different creatures, they all look the same. They unfold from the same basic spiral pattern, but as they move outward, they differentiate more and more and more and become the different beings that they are. So like a lizard embryo looks just like a human embryo, just looks just like a dog embryo. They all look the same. Octopuses curl, shells curls, plants, the way that they grow, and then of course the spiral of galaxies and weather patterns. And you guys have seen that video that I showed you on the Venus orbits. This is the 5, 8, and 13. So I'm glad I put that in here. So there's the star. And when Venus swings around and gets real close to Earth, that's a star point. So that's what we're looking at. And the one 20 months ago was in Leo. So we basically draw this star pattern like so with these star points. And it's in 8 years around the sun and in 13 orbits of Venus. So here we are back to that timeline. Hopefully those numbers make a little bit more sense to you because we are here. We are in it. We are in the 13-day window of this amazing wave of creative energy and potential. And like I said, this is a birth. This is it's 10 months from June 4th of 2024 when this cycle started. And so we are like in the last 2 weeks of pregnancy. The baby's coming. Okay? So it's interesting. It's neat. Oh, and that last slide was 13, by the way. That's pretty cool. So let me do this. Let me put the Fibonacci spiral on this timeline and kind of open your mind up to a little bit of fourth dimensional geometry, because I think it's really important for us to sort of stretch our perception and awareness as much as we can into that fourth dimension. It makes understanding this kind of patterning and sort of alchemical physics, it helps us understand it a little bit better, even if we can't truly express it. If we can see it, and I'm doing the best I can with these graphics. So let's add a forward and backward spiral. So this is forward and backward in time, right? But let's do it forward and backward in space too. So here we have forward and backward in time and space. And look at this magnificent figure. I hope that this reminds you of at least the Vesica Pisces, which is super synchronistic. But I hope it also reminds you of one of your most profound and amazing chakras, your third eye chakra, the Anja chakra, the chakra that is opened with the resonance of Om. Okay, this is so beautiful. So I hope you're seeing this, that when we can peer through things into their inner workings, into their inner dimensions, then we reach a very profound state of awareness. Now, I've only shown you the whole numbers to the left of the Fibonacci sequence. I've only shown you those. I haven't even gone into what happens to the right of the decimal point. That's where the magic happens. That's where we truly spiral into an infinite singularity of fractalization. And it's stunning. I can't even explain it yet, but that's what happens. So I really don't feel like this number or this ratio is broken when we can see patterns like this all around us, everywhere. Fibonacci is based on distorted Merkaba mechanics. I'm not even really sure what that means. And again, just like assertion number 1, don't go too fast. This thing might choke on me. Artificial distorted spiral or distorted growth. These seem like more like judgments rather than honest assessments. It's almost as if there's a judgment here. I mean, maybe it's kind of the vibe I'm getting. And the Merkaba, at least the way I understand it, is 2 tetrahedrons on top of each other, spinning around each other in opposite directions. And it very much mirrors the electromagnetic waves that go around our body that emanate from our heart center. the area right behind our heart, it just radiates out this toroidal field. And these electromagnetic waves move in curved lines in a scalar pattern. Okay, this is what they say when they say, "Ooh, we have scalar wave energy." That's all it is. It's just an electromagnetic wave. Okay, you can do sound and light and call that scalar too, but they're both. But light is the electromagnetic wave. It is both electric in one direction and magnetic in the orthogonal direction. Okay, so that's scalar technology. And there's your Merkaba right there. You create this spinning, rotating, and these tetrahedrons, they spin so fast that they look like, they look like orbs of light. And it's and the energy goes along these lines. Where's my pen? Where did it go? These scalar waves move along these lines, um, like this, spiraling around them. Okay? So that doesn't look distorted to me. I think anything that's distorted in your Merkaba field is probably something that's got to do with wounding or a blockage, an unrecognition of your true power and unrecognition of your God self. And the Cathar or the Keylontic principles speak to that. They speak to clearing this field so that your Merkaba is purely generated, so that you are powerful. And I love there's nothing wrong with that message. I think that's absolutely fantastic. So I do think that the founder of this technology was onto something. I just think that there's some kind of perhaps wounding on her end, even though she was brave enough to get out there and speak her truth, that may have masked the fundamentals of it from a science and technology perspective. So I linked this guy down in my description. Amazing, amazing, amazing stuff if you want to get into it. I watched a 2-hour podcast with him and someone who studies Keylontics and who knows it very, very well. And also, they both study geometry. So that's what brought them together. And what they did in their video was they examined the uh, geometrical components of the Cathara grid and its spiral and the Metatron's six flower petal of life and the golden spiral. They compared their notes and they came up with something absolutely fantastic. So check it out. So on the left is the Cathara grid, the Rausch God seed, and on the right is the Metatron's seed of life. This comes from the geometry of Metatron. And what they found is that if you can turn this model, you get the same thing. So you can twist this just a little bit this way and a little bit this way, and the ratio is 5, by the way, 1.618. If you give it a turn this way and a turn this way in a ratio of 5, you get the seed. You get the Rausch God seed. So it's just a matter of just looking at it just a little bit differently and tilting it. And what happens with their spiral, because this is the golden spiral, like that, their spiral is the golden spiral, just tilted to the side a little bit. That's all it is. So for those of you that are coming to me and telling me that the Fibonacci sequence is broken, I would urge you to dive into some of these videos, because especially if you're open-minded to it and trying to understand it. If you can see how if I took this flat plane of this spiral view and I just twisted it a little bit this way, that I would get a tilted spiral. And that's the Rausch seed, okay? They're the exact same thing, okay? So there's nothing broken here. This is the same thing. This is the Merkaba, and this is your Taurus field. Amazing. Here it is in a ball and stick model. So this may not mean anything to you guys, but they do go into it. And if you turn either one of these models, you get a mirror, or you not a mirror, but the same thing. That's essentially the idea. And then, like I explained it, as you rotate as you take the ratio and you rotate it by the phi ratio, you get the Rausch God seed from the golden spiral. And then here's what it looks like straight on if you take the two different views, how they're just a little bit different. And so this was nice to get that the crystal spiral is a 2-to-1 ratio, and then this is the golden spiral or Metatron's spiral. And guys, what you're looking at here is what as you go inward, this is infinite. This goes all the way down to the Planck length, which is the smallest thing you can measure and still have the laws of physics. That's the smallest distance. It's got, I don't know, it's got like 30 zeros and then a number. So this goes all the way down to the Planck length and then it stops. And it's a repeating fractal pattern. So beautiful. Here's what it looks like if you want to draw lines instead of circles. This is the Cathara grid. And then this is the same geometry that we just looked at, but with lines connecting the points between the circles. And it's the same thing. They're just tilted. One you're looking in one view and one you're looking in the other view. And I don't know which one feels more organic to you. I like them both. I think they're both very pretty. I think this feels scientific and forced. This feels like it flows. The one on the right feels like it flows. And then, I mean, just look at this point. Here's another cool thing about phi. And this comes from Nassim Haramein, who is a scientist that I follow. He's an autodidactic cosmological physicist that's described a fluid-like geometric model of the atomic quantum foam of the universe. And what his work has done has simplified everything and has accurately predicted things like the mass of the electron and the proton and things like that. And he's finding phi in his work as well. So you can go all the way from the Big Bang to the universe to the microtubule level, and you will find 1.618. You will find that ratio everywhere. Slide 31, 13 in reverse. So assertion 3, phi and the golden ratio are incomplete and lead to energy drain. Again, I would just say, look around you, sense into that. That this, again, is another judgment energy. And I think it just comes from because we didn't look a little bit to the left or right of what was being channeled by this person. So once again, there's the phi ratio. Actually, the point I wanted to make about this was that if you take that number and you work with it in base 12, it becomes a repeating number, which means it's usually related to geometry or a fraction. So, like, for example, in regular base 10 mathematics, 1/3 is 0.333333. It just repeats and repeats and repeats, but it's represented in base 12 as 0.4. So it's much more easy to work with when you're doing calculations. And he was able to do that with phi, which I thought was interesting. He also did it with pi. Assertion 4, we have one more after this. Fibonacci is a closed loop that cannot access higher dimensions. Once again, I just don't see that. I think I've made my point. I went to ChatGPT to help me do the argument, but again, I don't even think I need to address it. So let's talk about pi. Pi has the same characteristics of phi. So why aren't they breaking pi? Why aren't they saying pi is an incomplete thing or a Metatronic death science of the universe? There is another form of pi that is 3 divided by the square root of phi. And that is 3.1444. It's called Jane's pi. So that's super interesting. But you can also take pi and work with it in the base 12 mathematics, and you get a repeating number again. So check this guy out. He's really interesting. He's a polymath. He's a nerd like all of us who are, smart and mystical. It's just really cool. They're linked below. And then this one, finally, I just had to have fun with. I couldn't even stand it anymore. Fibonacci is associated with Metatronic death science. So I don't even know what that is. There's a lot of talk that came out of Keylontic science about how things have been hidden from us, or some sort of force is doing something to us. Okay. Y'all know me. I don't subscribe to that. I don't feel like there's anything out there doing anything to me. Everything that I see, everything that I experience comes from within me. And the minute I create something that is trying to stifle me or to hurt me, then I'm creating it. It's right there. It's right there in my face if I want to bring it. And so I feel like this kind of vernacular, this kind of language around being suppressed and held down and enslaved, I think that only creates the situation for you if you talk like that. So I was so like over that. And so I wanted to pick some fun at it. And I went ahead and I put Metatronic death science into the reduced Fibonacci cipher. So that's one of the ciphers you can get on Decoded.co. And it was 103, which is 13 if you take out the zero, because the zero has no significance in this. 13 in the Fibonacci reduced is 41. 41 is the 13th prime. So here we have this nice connection between the numbers. We know that the Fibonacci cipher works for us because it connects numbers we're already familiar with. 13 is 33 in the Phi cipher. And the 33rd prime is 137, which is the fine structure constant number. So Metatron's energy is tied into the 13 and the 33 and everything that we've been working with. But what is this fine structure constant? This is my last point, and then we'll get into the astrology. This is another one of those ratios that keeps showing up in quantum physics because they're doing base 10 mathematics. Now, I have a theory that if this guy from duodecimal division gets a hold of this number, that he might be able to find something interesting about this. But I did find a lady who I have also linked below her playlist, the Ohm particle. Instead of doing quantitative mathematics, she does wave function mathematics and can completely get rid of the fine structure wobble and make some really, really elegant calculations at the subatomic level. And that all ties into the work that Nassim Haramein's doing. And so the reason I'm so excited about this is because I know some of you are smart enough to understand this and the implications of it. Because when we can understand that fine structure of the ether, of that quantum foam, then we can tap into limitless potential. If we can do that in the physical plane, we're literally using science to bring magic into the physical. That's what these physicists are working on. And it's so exciting for me because I know magic's real. Just look at 317. It's the 137th decimal digit of pi. And then for 138, which is the Phoenix constant, which is the orbital periodicity of the Phoenix phenomenon, as outlined in Archaics, is the 381st decimal digit of pi. So this is how I know that this wobble that we see between the planets and at the subatomic scale, all related to phi, are related to one another. 137 is the 33rd prime. Pi and phi together is 33. Fine structure constant is 79. What's 79? Well, 79 is the 13th decimal digit of pi. Oh, and we're on the 56th slide, by the way. Did you see that little synchronicity pop right up? I love it when that happens. 137. That's the atomic mass of barium. So hopefully you guys are having fun so far. It's just going to get better. And here we are on the 57th slide, which is associated with lanthium, which is 138. Right as I was talking about it, I honestly did not plan it that way, y'all. It just ended up happening to be the slide numbers associated with all of these amazing numbers and how they are connected. All right. Now, if we take that Phoenix constant and we divide that by pi and phi, so those two numbers we've been talking about ad nauseum, we take the product of that number of those constant, we get this number. Divide that into 138, you get the exact length of the sidereal cycle of the moon. What? Yes, from three of these constants, we get the sidereal cycle of the moon. That does not mean it's lunar phase. This is not new moon to new moon, guys. This is from 1 degree of Pisces all the way around to the next degree of Pisces, 27.4, 27 days, 4 hours. Wow. Okay, so that's how it ties into astrology because the moon's a big part of what we're doing here. The Phoenix constant is 85 in the Phi cipher, which reduces to 13. Wow. Y'all doing okay? You breathe in, picking your jaws up off the floor. uh, so here we are, back to this timeline. This is the week you are here. This is the week we're going to study from here to here. This should be pretty quick. But like I said, we might be in for a long one, y'all. So I have added the eclipse points. So we have counted 27 days and 4 hours from the solar eclipse forward and backward in time on this timeline. So you see, we have so much more to go. We're going to get through this wave, but then we have to continue discussing how this energy propagates through space and time. We're going to see it. All right. Now, for the current Venus cycle, we are right about here. It took us a while to get to this point, but we're stationed retrograde, and you're feeling it. The energy is just picking up, and so within another week, we'll be probably right about here, and that's when Mercury is going to go retrograde. So get ready for some chaos. Venus star point is 66 in the Phi cipher, by the way, and the number 66 correlates to the 66 prime number being 317, which is just a rearrangement of 137, but it's still the 137th digit in the Phi string of digits. Are you seeing this? So 66 ties to 317. 317 is 137 in the digits of pi. Amazing. Venus retrograde is 55 in the Phi cipher. We're on the 67th slide, which reduces to 13. 55 is a Fibonacci number. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I rest my case. Actually, I don't. We have a little bit more to go. All right, let me just escape out of here for a second, catch my breath, see how you guys are feeling about all of that, because this is cool. Cool. How we doing, everybody? I see some heads exploding. Yeah, and English with Lorna, you've got it right. There are 13 lunar cycles in the year, so we can tie all of this together. It's just incredible, and it makes me laugh. Like I don't know. There's something about I picked up decoding. I want to say probably around like November or December of last year, and it has had just a tremendously calming force over my life for some reason, because I can see and prove and show to you guys all of these connections. Just it's all connected. I don't have to worry about it. I know I'm doing the right thing, but like it's like my own code is leading me and connecting me in ways that are really amazing and wonderful. So yeah, 13 lunar cycles in a year, 52 weeks. 52 is divided by 13 4 times. Yeah, 13 lunar and menstrual cycles. Yes, unfortunately. Yeah, I think with the deal with Keylontics, I don't really want to throw shade on it. I want to have compassion for the woman that created it, and also for the people that blindly believe it without looking into it. Because I don't think the people that are doing Keylontics from the point of their heart and mind, because there's some people that want to do it to earn money, and they're hustling, they're doing it. And I get it. I get the hustle, but at the same time, like, maybe not come out with that first, right? Like, let's not come out with that Fibonacci's broken, because this is so much more ancient. And the science behind it's just a little twist, so. All right, let's see. Oh, Seema Dragon, you're here early. Yeah, 5:42 a.m. What a nice treat for so you are going to have a magical day. And yes, Brian, I think the Merkaba is the Taurus field because it's spinning. It's always spinning. You can slow it down so you can study it energetically, but ultimately when you're animating it, it's moving. Yeah, electric donut. It's donut shaped. Cool. We have 35 in the chat. That's pretty good for a Friday afternoon. I guess where you are, Seema, it's Saturday, so happy Saturday. All right, let's do the rest of this. This is some astrology, and then we have some fun things to talk about too. So just look. Some of you that are sneak peeking on the slide right now may notice a very special moment coming up this week. We're going to talk about that. I think if my mom is still here and I didn't make her fall asleep, she'll be happy to see that. We're going to look at her chart. We're not going to give you the details, but we're going to look at her chart and see what her birthday is going to be like. But yeah, so we are moving into this time frame. What you'll see up here is a time map. This is the dates of March up until the lunar eclipse and Mercury retrograde, which is the 14th, and then we're going to go through these days. So what you see here on the left is the faster moving energies aspecting back to the slower moving energy. So Sun is trine to Mars right here. And Venus is conjunct to Mercury here. Sun is conjunct to Saturn here, okay? And these lines just indicate the peak of that wave. So the connection between Sun and Mars peaks tonight around 11:30 my time. So in about 10 hours, that Sun trine Mars energy will peak and swell here. And this is, again, between Gemini and the late degree of Aquarius. So this is air energy. This is genius energy. This is expressing and taking full action on whatever it is that you're feeling into or that you're inspired to do. And as we move through the week, you'll see the signs that the moon is moving through. So we've got starting off in Gemini, moving into Cancer, then Leo, and then Virgo at the end of the week. And then, of course, the sun makes a sign change. Notice how it's not on the 21st of the month. No, indeed. Our sun transits into the next sign when it actually transits through the constellations from one to the next. So the sun will leave the constellation of Pisces on the 8th of March and move into the constellation of Pisces. These are big days, and we're going to go through all of them. So what's really cool is that we're studying day 13 and day 8, and the 8th of March is the 13th day in the countdown to the Venus star point. That's just a cool little synchronicity right there. Let's look at the day. This is tomorrow. Tomorrow we have a moon conjunct Mars, so that is going to be nice. This should be a good time for revelations and moving with your heart and moving authentically, moving in a guided way towards that sun's expression in the last degrees of Aquarius. We have very simple aspects that you'll notice stay pretty much the same most of the week, with the exception of the party in Pisces. I'm telling y'all, this is where the action is. And the next day, the sun is on the 9th, we'll look at that chart too, is moving into Pisces. So everybody's there. And then Jupiter's making a square back to the sun, which means don't overdo it. Don't overexpress yourself. Be a little bit responsible, because you can have consequences, especially how close sun's getting to Saturn. That's responsible expression, like we talked about at the very, very beginning of this conversation. And then we have Pluto and Uranus trining back onto the South Node, and Black Moon Lilith energy. This is metamorphosis. This is transformation. This is awakening your magical, creative power. So you are remembering that, and you're transforming, and you're moving towards this energy of creative, responsible expression, universal love and oneness and peace. So that's that chart in a nutshell. That's tomorrow. Now, tomorrow's date, synchronistically or coincidentally enough, adds up to 56 in the Phi cipher. So again, that's barium connected to 137. 13, of course, is 33 in the Phi cipher. Phi and pi, spell them out together, you get 33. Day 13, if you spell that out, is 48. And then watch this. Triskaideka is 48. That means of 13 in the Phi cipher. The higher self is 48, and Ophiuchus is 48. So this energy of the galactic center is also weaves its way in here. That's why the serpent energy is coming through. For some reason, there's this really nice connection between the galactic center and the lunar nodes right now. I think it's because it's in a square. I don't actually aspect that on my charts, but the galactic center, the golden and silver gates, galactic center, and then the Gemini Taurus cusp are squaring the lunar nodes right now. So I think that's why we're getting that coming through. 3/8 is also the 67th day of the year, which is, reduces to 13. So that's cool. It's the 2 of spades in the birthday cards. Watch this. The 2 of spades is the 41st card in the cards of illumination, and the 13th prime is 41. So what do you do with that? You just go, wow. I mean, seriously, all these numbers are together. Now we're going to add one more element to our timeline, and that's the Mercury energy, because this is quick, this is fast, this is disorienting as the sun enters Pisces. So now everything's in dreamy Pisces. Everything's there. You thought you were in La La Land? Wait until Sunday when the sun moves into, boom, Pisces. And then also for those of you in the United States that move your clock forward, you're also going to feel that too. So you're going to feel disoriented from the hour change, and then you're also going to feel disoriented from the sun moving into Pisces. And then Mercury's going to go, oh, yep, I'm going to switch direction on you in about a week and make it all that more confusing. So we're getting ready for that. Here it is. You ready? Here's the new dates. Ooh, the Mercury energy. Watch this. Let me get my pen out again. Watch this. So this is tomorrow, day 13. And then we have day 8 over here. And this is the 14th, which is Pi Day, which is also the lunar eclipse. So that's we're getting up to the end of it there. That'll be the last day we cover. And Mercury energy kind of works. I like to think of sound when I think of Mercury energy coming retrograde. So if Mercury were, let's say, on the other side of the sun, not moving, and we were standing here, we would just hear the wave. We would hear the wave of sound. It would look like this. But as soon as Mercury starts moving towards us, the waves in front of Mercury become compressed, and that makes a higher frequency. The sound sounds higher. Like if you're listening to an ambulance approaching you, you're going to hear wee woo, wee woo, wee woo, wee woo, wee woo. And then as it goes away, you're going to get wee woo, wee woo, wee woo. Wee woo is what my grandson calls these trucks when they make the sound. So that's why I'm using wee woo. But anyway, so it'll get lower in pitch as it's going away from you and higher in pitch as it's coming towards you. So this is again, this is my jam here, merging science with the spiritual. Okay. That's exactly what Mercury's doing. This is Mercury's intensitygram. You've seen Venus's already. Mercury gets closer to the Earth. This is Earth. So as this wave picks up and moves into that space between, Earth and sun, we feel it. We feel it. So this is the wave we're at, and we are right here, you guys. Right at the bottom of the Mercury Mountain. And it's steep. So for the next week or so, expect the Mercury wave to do something like this. It peaks on the day of the solar eclipse. Okay? So that is the Mercury wave in real time represented here on the right. Okay? Woo, get ready. All right, March 9th. Again, y'all see there's not much change here, but what has happened is our Phoenix angle has showed up, or our golden angle. And we have it between Black Moon Lilith and Uranus in Taurus. These are earth signs. And Uranus in an earth sign is a disruptor. So you have to be ready to sort of be okay with letting go of something that you don't really need anymore with Uranus running through Taurus. That's pretty much my advice for people. Like, you be nimble. If you have an asset that you're holding on, it could be anything. It could be a house, it could be crypto, it could be gold. Be ready to come up with something new that you're going to turn that into with Uranus there. That's that energy that it provides you. And at the same time, making a very stable golden angle with that Black Moon Lilith. Remember, that's chaos. That's Nyx. That's creating from the darkness with a simple, divine, intelligent thought, right? That's the divine, dark, the primordial dark mother. She created everything with just a thought. So there's that angle there with this prime disruptor. This is basically it's the sun of Nyx, right? Because Uranus came out of nowhere. I mean, she birthed Uranus, she birthed the sky, and they're angling back to each other. So it's that age-old mother-son energy, maybe. Virgo and Taurus are earth signs. So again, we can be really creative and really destructive here in very unexpected and erratic ways as the sun moves into Pisces for real down here. And it's all Pisces, all those personal planets, Neptune and Saturn together, sun right there. Okay. And on the same day, you have moon opposed Pluto. So deep feelings are going to be coming up here on the 9th as we dive into the waters of Pisces. Just be open, just be ready. That's what I feel like this energy is saying. It's like, yeah, something wild is coming, but it could be to your benefit. So it's a deep emotional reaction may occur here, and that could be good or bad. How it manifests for you, I don't know. You have to you have to get a reading or know your chart really well in order to understand how this might be for you. But in general, that's the collective energy. Oh, here we are to the part I was looking forward to. We're gonna look at Mom's birthday. We're gonna decode my mom a little bit because she's so cool, and she's taking my class, and she's in my chat. She was born on March 10th. So let's take a look. Happy birthday, Mom. This is coming up for you this week. This is her birth chart. Do you guys see all these Phoenix angles that my mom has? Those angles are based on the golden phi ratio. I just think that's so interesting. Look at that. She creates almost this triangle of tension. But there she is. Look at her. She is this cuspy Pisces sun, and right now has Neptune, Sun, and Saturn over her sun in the 8th house. Whew. So what do you think that'll be? Maybe I think you might be coming on to some new spiritual practices, maybe more in the woo, new spiritual practices, energetic practices. She's got Pluto moving through her 6th house right now, was conjunct her north node. So interesting. The 6th house is health. Mom, you have to take care of yourself, okay? Pluto is transforming the way you take care of your body and your physical routine. So make sure you are aware of that. And then you're also having like a Venus return with Venus and Mercury over here. So when Venus and Mercury are conjunct in the sky, they're called the divine hermaphrodite because it's Hermes and Aphrodite. So it's a really nice genius level energy. I often tell my clients when I'm doing readings, like whenever you have Venus and Mercury together, it's like the surgeon, guitar player, or the pianist, rocket scientist, like somebody that is artistic, but also very smart. So you have this really nice energy over your natal Venus, which likes to move through create. You don't like to create in words. You like to create through thought and through feeling. And also this is just very generous energy as well. You have a Jupiter conjunct Jupiter right now. This is where Jupiter is in the actual sky. So you should be feeling expansive, abundant, spiritual. The moon just moved through here, so that should feel pretty good too. Actually, probably about a day ago, you had moon conjunct moon and Jupiter conjunct Jupiter. The moon will be over here, though, on your birthday. So, and then here's one thing that was not too surprising, but super interesting about my mom, you guys. She's a first house Pluto, which when I see a first house Pluto, especially in Leo, I read them as sort of like a noble person. Like they literally, you can't lie to them. They see right through you. And you can call it out. Mom, you've got the energy, you've got the power with where your Pluto's at to literally say, nope, that ain't working. That's not true. That's not real. And you're powerful enough that you would be listened to. In fact, when you were, before you retired, I think you were probably more like this because people did listen to you. I think they were actually afraid of you a little bit. But now that you've gotten into your crone years, you're more mellow. You're hanging out here in this Sag energy, which is like, yeah, I just really love knowledge and spirit, and I'm just, living my heaven on earth. So I love all of that. Um, Saturn and Neptune in Virgo. So, oh, this is someone who has hidden their earthly magical sorcerer powers, but you have a nice opportunity. This conjunction doesn't happen all that often, about every 30 years or so, and we're actually having one right over your natal sun. So I think there's definitely some magic here that you can learn and study. It's in your third house and it's trying to Mercury, which is also nice. So that's communicating. This is great. You have a lot of really good energy for your birthday. So I hope you keep studying. I hope you have a fantastic birthday. And of course, I'm going to call your face when on your birthday. So I love you. We're going to move into the rest of the presentation. Everybody wish my mom a happy birthday. We're going to decode the day a little bit. Of course, her birthday reduces down to the number 13. I don't know if you saw that, Mom, if you knew that. But that makes your numerology a 4. And so we'll talk about that. Let's see what else. Her birth card. Oh, yeah, she's the king of diamonds, the master of the realm of the material. That's my mom. So the king of diamonds is card 39. And mom, I'll read this card to you offline. I just want to get through the numerology for folks so we can get to the end of the presentation. And then we'll see how everybody feels if y'all want to listen to me decode we'll decode the founder of Keylontic on the fly. This is the spirit and life spread that I was talking about. So when we read your cards, what we'll do is we'll look at the kind of what you're comfortable with energy here, and then what you're supposed to be doing here. So when I tell you what those are, hopefully that'll make sense to you. This is a master creator actually right here. So this card rules your king of diamonds. And so when you have your spirit card ruling over your life card, then that life card just automatically manifests like it's supposed to, and you're living your code. But here's what's so interesting about these two numbers. Check this out. So 16 links to the chemical sulfur, which, I mean, you could link that to the devil and hell and all that stuff, and that's fine. But it does have an isotope that's 33, and it's a rare isotope. And I would say, yeah, my mom is a pretty rare isotope. The other thing that's interesting is the cards are in her Mars Venus line, which is just, it's someone who's really, really personable on the one-on-one, like human level. Like my mom's someone that you guys could probably sit down and talk to, and she would listen to you and she would give you advice. And that's that. I feel like that's really that Mars Venus energy. She's just really, really nice with people. Mother is 33. Get out of here in the Phi cipher. Oh man. So for 39, yttrium has an atomic mass of 89, and 89 is, of course, a Fibonacci number, but 13 plus 39 is 55, which is also a Fibonacci number. So here we are with those again. And then, of course, we can tie 13 to 55 by looking at them like this. 13 is the 55th digit of the golden phi string of digits. And then 55 is the 130th, basically 13 of the digits of pi. Wow. Isn't this fun? I just think this is so cool. I just love this so much. All right, so we're getting into this. I think we've talked about most of this energy over here, so I won't belabor it too much. These are the transits that you're going to be seeing towards the middle end of next week. So this is Sun conjunct Saturn. This is Mercury and Venus together. So genius level energy expressing in responsible ways. So that'll be me in the middle of the week. I'll probably come up with an amazing podcast. Speaking of podcasts, did you guys watch Athen and I and our interview? That was so wonderful. I really enjoyed talking to Athen. He is so cool and just a neat dude all the way around. And I think I'll be a guest on his live stream on Sunday, the 23rd, I want to say. So hopefully you guys will check me out over there. Yeah, and then we get into this energy here during the eclipse and Mercury retrograde. So let's get into that. I'm just going to move through that. There we go. All right. Did anybody notice that it was Pi Day 314? I hope you guys did. I think I might have pointed that out like an hour ago, but at any rate, that's funny. There we go. The 14th reduces to the number 17, which is funny because it's also on slide 107. I just noticed that. Day 8 is 37, and the 73rd day is March 14th. If you guys know anything about numerology, is that you can mirror numbers. So I think that's very interesting that we have a mirror energy there with day 8. And we're doing that, right? We're doing that with the timeline. When we slice it in half, you can see the mirror energy. The card for this day, for the 14th, is the 9 of diamonds, which is my birth card. And I'm a 33. But 35 is associated with bromine, who boils at 137.8 degrees, which is between the phoenix and the fine structure constant. So this day is associated with that energy as well. And then, of course, the 9 of diamonds is associated with the 9 of pentacles, which is the 73rd card. So again, we have that 73-37 energy. I want to go back to Venus geometry a little bit here, because you know what? I think we're done with the astrology, but I wanted to show you guys just a couple more things. Maybe do like we're going to do our encore now. So let me just check on everybody and see how you guys feel and if you want to keep going. I'm good to go. I mean, I live my life tired sometimes, so it's totally fine. If you guys are tired of listening to me, we can end it now, but the encore should be pretty cool. What do you guys think? Do you guys have any questions about anything that came through? Step into Flow asks, which conjunction only happens about 30 years? I missed it. So anything associated with Saturn. Saturn's orbit through the zodiac is 38 or 30 years, 27 to 30 years. And so depending on the speed of the planet that it aspects, that's the amount of time. So like, for example, all your natal planets will get a transit of Saturn about every 30 years. And Saturn and Neptune are meeting right now in Pisces. And my mom has that in Virgo. She has Saturn and Neptune conjunct. Cool. All right. So Lori seems excited to rock and roll with the encore. It'll be good. It'll be good. Kaki says, if I look up these terms, is it going to give me definitions that work with Dr. Danny's version of the zodiac? I think what you mean is like if you're looking, if you find out the constellational energy is Pisces, but it was normally Aries before, are you reading Pisces energies in that space, or is Pisces now Aries? No, it's Pisces. Because what happens is that your resonance shifts to the sky. And so you become the Pisces sun. Now, my mom is a Pisces in both, which is super interesting. So she didn't really have to shift. Patrice says, according to base 12 numerology, it doesn't break down to 4. 0.3 breaks down to 0.4. And this, when I was referring to that, it was referring to the decimal digits in base 12. So base 12 numerology, just counting the digits on the left side of the decimal point, is like any other number. You're going to get the same ratios. Where it gets really interesting is when you go to the right of the decimal. Okay, so a number like 1/3 is 3333333 in base 10, but in base 12, it's expressed as 0.4, which is a non-repeating rational fraction that you can actually multiply with. So it makes division with complex base 10 numbers much easier. So I would definitely check out that guy's link below for more information on that. I think, Patrice, you're one of the ones who is into that Keylontic science. No, I'm not dissing the Keylontic science at all. I think where they're coming from is truly a remarkable place, and it's high time we start thinking about spirituality in a scientific and technological way, because I think that's where we're going anyway. And to understand that is great. Cool. Thanks for wishing my mom a happy birthday, guys. She deserves it. Cool. All right. Well, if y'all are into uh the encore, I'm going to give you just a little bit more and then we'll call it an afternoon. And I am going to go back live, I think Monday or Tuesday. I want to talk about the full moon that's coming up, which is a lunar eclipse. Which is also Mercury retrograde. So we need to kind of go through that day, and then maybe talk about the houses. I might come up with a new way for you guys to personalize it a little bit for those of you that are not getting your own readings. So, all right. And if you have anything conjunct stars, I know Sonia's asked the question, what does it mean to have Sun on Antares? Um, Bernadette Brady does a great job with star conjunctions, and so does the star. I think his name is the Star King, the Astrology King, or somebody like that. He's a tropical astrologer, but he reads the stars. So if you have Sun conjunct Antares, you can get that reading. It's really powerful. All right. Cool. All right, let's get into the encore. Encore, because we want some more. All right, we'll hide that. Mm-mm. Okay, so that's the 5, 8, 13 ratio that we've been discussing that is bore out with the frequency of the orbits of the planets. It draws this star. Here are the beautiful degrees that are just amazing. These are numbers that are associated with uh, astrologically aligned architecture as well. So you're going to see 108 and 72 in the ancient calendars when our year was actually 360 days. Now, for some reason, it's 365 days, but when it was 360 days, these numbers were used for geometry and architecture. So those are this angle up here, the pointy angle is 36. So I wanted to draw your attention to the actual star that we draw, just to sort of hone in on how perfect these constants are and these frequencies and what they mean. Um, I want to, let's see if I can get to this one. Yeah, you guys can see the full screen. Okay. What I want to show you, and you can probably already see it, some of you that are dialed into this, is that if you take this length and you create a ratio of this length, you're going to get the phi ratio. If you take this length with this length, no, it's with this one, with the blue one. So the green and the blue together, you're going to get this ratio. If you take the green with the red, you're going to get this ratio. Okay, so you could effectively, draw this star and have the phi ratio borne out without even knowing the orbital frequencies and the years that the Earth orbits the sun. Like, you wouldn't even need to know that information, that astronomical information. You just need to draw this star and you get your phi. Okay? So that's amazing. We also have the Phoenix angle that I've been discussing in astrology. This is a relatively new angle for me. The energy that I'm getting from it, when we take the word Phoenix, it reminds me of a pattern break. Okay, so whenever we see the green angle in our chart, it means that there's pattern break energy there for us. And it's so interesting that if you take the ratio of these arc lengths such that you get the ratio 1.618, the angle between them is the freaking fine structure constant, you guys. So, I mean, like, wow. I just don't think it's a broken energy. I think this person, Ashayana Dean, she has many, many aliases actually. And what I thought I'd do real quick is actually, you know what? Well, maybe I will. Let me do this. Like I said, I'm just trying to maybe not be negative about it, but I just want to bring you to an awareness. Okay. So those of you that are, spending tens of thousands of dollars to learn this knowledge, This person had some issues, okay? Any channeled information is coming through a person, okay? The Bible is channeled information. The Torah is channeled information. The Nag Hammadi text, it's all channeled information. Anything that is written is channeled information. Okay, so you have to look at the channel it's coming through, right? And I think this woman was incredibly intelligent. I think she was incredibly brave. I think she was actually onto something, but because of the way that her life and her code was written, you know, she had no choice but to express it the way that she did. And so what I would caution against is that anyone that uh, believes anything that a channel tells them as a dogma, as the truth, be very careful. Be very discerning. I mean, don't even take my word for it. Okay. I'm not saying you should believe anything that I'm telling you right now. But when there is an energy that comes through a channel that is telling you that you are being oppressed, telling you that you're being, lied to, uh, and offering you a way out, be wary of that. Be wary of that, because the people that I've encountered that study this are not doing that. Not unless they're there to kind of, pull the gig, to hustle. We all have our hustle, right? So anyway, this woman, brilliant, knew math, knew base 12 math, just like I was a polymath, the edge of society. I don't have her birth time, okay, but I have her birth date. And because of what I've read about her, I can confidently tell you that she is very likely an Ophiuchus rising. Okay, because this energy, you don't know really what they are or where they come from. They can shift, they can change who they are. And for someone that's had over 5 different names, that just makes the most sense to me. Okay, I could be wrong, but that's exactly how we rectify charts. We basically just kind of take what we know and turn the wheel where it fits when we don't understand it or when we don't know their birth time. So Ophiuchus rising is that sort of shifting personality that can become different things based on what it is that they need. And she had this magnificent energy in her midheaven, in her ninth house. So, ninth house is higher wisdom, higher knowledge. I'm pretty sure that this woman with Sun, Mercury, and Uranus, all in a conjunction with Pluto, had some kind of access to higher wisdom, to higher knowledge. It just filtered through in a very unusual way. It filtered through in a wounded way. Pluto is wounding, okay? So there's some kind of dogma, some kind of spiritual energy that may have suppressed her truth. And so it bubbled up in ways that were unique and interesting. She has Mars and Venus conjunct in her eighth house in Cancer Gemini. So this is somebody that is very smart, very compassionate, understands people probably to on the psychological level, and knew that there were ways to get her information through because of understanding how people work. Her north node was at the node of the galaxy, and her south node was at the other end of the galaxy in the middle. So this is the Milky Way center, the black hole, and these are the outer bands of the Milky Way over here. This is the Silver Gate, and this is the Golden Gate. These are just like the moon's lunar nodes. These are the nodes of the galaxy and the solar system ecliptic, and these are very powerful portals of energy. And she comes from the galactic center. So it doesn't surprise me that she would have this level of gnosis and have a difficult time expressing it. Look where her Saturn is. Y'all see where her Saturn is? It's in her third house. This is learning disability. This is trouble communicating, way ahead of her time as well in Aquarius, and square to her Jupiter, which is her spirituality. Like maybe she I don't know, maybe there was something going on here where she misinterpreted a frequency coming to her that said the golden ratio was bad. And who knows? And then that could have been the end of it. It was what it was. It was part of her teaching. And Saturn was square her node, so she had to be a teacher. She had to be a teacher of this knowledge ahead of her time. There was nothing she could do about that. She also has another kite here and a grand trine. So these Chiron in Aquarius is not fitting in with the group. Yet being able to open up a teaching that everyone in her group could understand. And that's why I tell all of y'all with Chiron in Aquarius, it's like, you guys think you're the only ones, but you're not. If you were brave and lionly like this lady, people would see what you've got. You just have to be careful because sometimes people aren't ready for that knowledge. People aren't ready for that level of healing. So again, I'm not throwing shade on her. I just think that she was made a certain way and that this was the bravest and truest way for her to bring the knowledge through. But I think it's okay where we are as a collective and as a continually evolving society to maybe consider that we are looking at the Cathara grid just a little bit at an angle of the golden spiral, and that it actually is one in the same. So, what do you guys think? Pretty interesting presentation, huh? Man, I tell you, I do go down some rabbit holes. It's amazing. There's so much information out there that we have access to that sometimes it is like just out of my reach to explain, and so I have to take my time, and hopefully you guys got most of these concepts. If not, just leave a message below or quiet. I read all my comments, so if you have a question, I can maybe answer it for you. Yeah. So good. Yep, Christine, bam. I don't have that low grumbly voice that Logan does where he goes bam. But yeah, I could hear it. I could hear the bams. So all right, my loves. Well, I will see you Monday or Tuesday. I'm feeling Monday, but it might be Tuesday, just depending on what I can get done over the next few days. I want to give you something really good for the full moon. I'm actually thinking about doing a series, bringing sort of science and spirituality together. I know there's a show out there called Spirit Science. So I thought of a name, and it's called Physics, but it's spelled PHISYK. So it's like you switch the Y and the I in physics, so you get physics. I don't know, just kind of bringing the spiritual, energetic resonance energy into the actual mathematics. I think it just opens up some stunning avenues of research and discovery for us. So I thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening to me go on for as long as I did. This is wonderful. I love you all, and make sure you subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you all later. We're going to close it out with a little bit of happy memes just to cheer you up for the weekend, okay? Love y'all. Take care.